I'm Lucy from Bookshanks and I'm here today to talk about Wahala by Nikki May. If this is your first time joining us on the channel, welcome. It's lovely to have you. Please do subscribe and stick around for a chat. Also, have a chat with me please if you've read this already. I need people to talk to, or if you're planning on reading it, or even if you're halfway through reading it, anything to do with this book, talk to me. I need to have a conversation because it's really good. I really liked it. I had a hunch it was going to be good before I'd even opened it because I'd heard that it had sold in the UK in like a massive publishing auction, like 9 publishers or something ridiculous wanted their hands on it. It did the same in America, like loads of publishers were like fighting over it, and it sold in loads of territories over the world. So you know that there's going to be something special. And it was. I liked it. I might go so far as to say favourite read of the year so far. I'm aware it's February the 1st. But you know what? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it anyway. So, Wahala means trouble in Nigerian. And this book has trouble by the bucket load. Oh my goodness. So, it follows the story of 3 mixed race women. So they're half Nigerian, they're half British, they're in their mid-30s, living in London, and they have been inseparable since they met at university. They are the best of friends. Or are they? They felt that they had a really strong friendship. They all had their own troubles going on in their life, their own wahala, but they were a pretty solid group until you throw in a 4th character, and she comes along and she spies all the cracks and she starts, worming her way in them and pushing them further and further apart, and it is so dark and it's so unsettling, and it's so wonderfully sinister, and you just want to know why is she doing this. So the 3 characters that we're looking at, we've got Ronka, we've got Simi, and we've got Boo. Now Ronka, is desperately looking for the love of her life. She wants to settle down. She's, a dentist. She's got everything else, pretty much sorted, but she wants this missing part, to start a family, to have a happy marriage. Her friends don't always approve of the men she pursues. We've got Simi, who's like high-flying fashion girl, happily married, but, very insecure and doubting everything that she does. And we've got Boo, who, outwardly has the perfect husband, the perfect child, but she is feeling trapped and frustrated. So they are all dealing with their own trouble. And when Isabel comes in with her mysterious motivations that take a long time to be clear, it is just excruciating. I mean, truly excruciating how she wheedles her way in between them, and slithers into the cracks and, brings out the worst in these people, for her own ends. It truly was excruciating. I use the word excruciating, but like my insides were twisting because it's this slow burn of a novel. And usually I don't have a lot of patience for slow burns. I'm like, come on, pace people. But actually it's perfectly paced because she's manipulating people and you can't do that quickly. You have to do it slowly and subtly and carefully because otherwise people can spot what you're up to. But it's the characterisation of these women, particularly the 3 friends, that is just exquisite, and the absolute strength of this book. I found myself thinking about what they were doing when I had the book shut, when I was far away from the book, when I wasn't reading it, like they were real people, because they're so nuanced and believable, and rounded, that is absolutely the strength of this book. It's a book about race in lots of ways. But it's also a book that's nothing to do with race, really. These 3 women are mixed race, and they have been sort of straddling 2 cultures, the Nigerian and the British, and that obviously is a part of them. There's loads of stuff about Nigerian food. They go to Nigerian parties. They have their own prejudices about themselves, and other Nigerian people that come from within them, and they have to deal with the prejudices of others in society, I guess, and all the microaggressions from touching hair to being referred to as exotic to watching how loud your voice is so you're not the angry black woman. So race is there, but it is a part of their identity. It is not their defining feature. and they are so nuanced and relatable in so many ways, because of this just enormously rounded character building. Because I think really it's more a story about friendship, about actually, you know, how we can be the best of friends, but also, you know, a little bit jealous and a little bit guilty and disappointed with our lives. And, you know, at the same time, wanting the best for your friends and championing them, and just all these really complex feelings that, you know, are a part of sort of long-term friendships, and how people change and whether you can change with them, and the baggage that you bring, I guess, and put on other people. Either knowingly or completely without knowing it. I think that the way that the characters are drawn in this book is just, it's the absolute strength. It really is a masterclass in characterization, I think. There was really very little fault that I could find with this book. If I had to be really nitpicky, I think there are probably like two small things that I could pick up on. The first was Ronka, one of the characters. She's a dentist, and one of her former patients has become a bit of a stalker, and it's really sinister and really chilling, and sort of explored to a certain point, and I was waiting for it to come into the fore and be sort of significant in the plot, and it didn't turn out to be. It just sort of disappeared, and that was such an interesting bit. I was sort of hungry for a little bit more depth. I kind of wanted a bit more, and I was just like, oh, Stalker's gone. So that's one thing. And I think the other thing is probably a little bit to do with the ending. So it kind of did what I call sort of the James Bond thing, in which ultimately the good guy faces the bad guy, and it's like, why did you do it? And then the bad guy says, well, I did it because of these reasons, and just explains their motivations. And I felt like the rest of the book was so subtle and nuanced and delicately handled that kind of just stood out to me. It wasn't actually what happened in the end, like plot-wise. I was totally fine with that. It was just that sort of like reveal of the motivations that I was like, oh, could it have just been a little bit more gentle and in fitting with the rest of the book? But overall, I absolutely loved it. And I think, you know, it's going to be big. It's going to be great. I'm going to put it out there now because I like playing these games, but I reckon could be a women's prize one, you guys. It could be there. If you've read it, I would love to know what you think, if you think it could be there too. Because just those characters, they were great characters and they stay with you. And I think, you know, books don't matter unless you care what happens to the people in them, aren't they? That's what makes a good book. You know, you've got to care what happens to the people that they're talking about. And this book absolutely nails it. So Wahala by Nikki May. Definitely worth a read. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.